Hello, Avery. I'm just going to get one thing set up. All right, you're the only one I see so far. I've got 3 online. How did you make out with 6-5 and the review? Okay. Oh, good. Good. Have you finished your review?
Yeah, in the book I have.
Okay. And you had no questions out of it?
No, I think I'm doing pretty good.
Okay. You checking your answers to make sure you're getting them right?
Yep. I was just on 6.4, like number 8.
Yep.
Review. I figured it out, but like I looked in the back of the book and I don't know how you get it. Like, you know how like the F and it has the X?
Yeah. Okay.
Like, how do you?
All right. So, okay. So what happens here is this. So I'll just show you for any actual equation. So an equation can be written like this. It can be written as y equals 3x minus 2, let's say. So that means that in order to get my y value, I take whatever the x value is, I times it by 3, and I subtract 2 to it. So you've been taught so far that, well, hey, I can make a table of values. I can put 0 in, I can put 1 in, I can put 2 in, just like that, right? Okay? So we understand that that's a line, but if you're trying to explain it to somebody to say, hey, this is actually a function, what you want to do is you rewrite the equation like this. You rewrite it as f of x equals 3x subtract 2. Okay? So y and f of x mean exactly the same thing. All the f of x does is say, hey, it's going to pass the vertical line test because it's a line. So what this notation means is this. This means that when x is 0, what is y? So wherever you have an x value, you exchange it for whatever that value is. In this case, it's 0. So I go 3 times 0, which is 0, negative 2. So when x is 0, y is negative 2. So if I was doing a table of values, I would just write it like that. Can you see that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, so f of 1, 3 times 1 minus 2. 1. F of 2, 3 times 2, subtract 2. So 2 times 3 is 6, 6 subtract 2 is 4. Okay, so what that is, that f of 5 in that question, just means that when x is 5, what is y? And you use the equation. So the first one is f of 5 for 3 times 5 subtract 6. So you substitute the 5 in there. 5 times 3 is 15, subtract 6 is 9. So when x is 5, y is 9. So you do that for all of them. That's what that means. Okay? So y equals 3x minus 2 and f of x equals 3x minus 2. They mean exactly the same thing. The only thing that the f of x does is it tells us that, hey, well, it's actually a function, meaning it passes that vertical line test. All right?
Okay.
All right, so far, did you have any other questions out of there?
No, I think that was it.
Okay.
All the other ones.
And the chapter 6 review on page 134, 135, you managed that okay?
Yep.
You're able to write the domain and range out properly?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's the hard stuff right there. That domain and range is the important stuff, and it's the hard stuff. So even though you're the only one on here, I'm still on YouTube. So what I'm going to do, Avery, is I'm going to go through your assignment right now so that everybody online can get the solutions for it. So if you want to grab your assignment. And I can use you to help me as we go here. All right. So the first question says state the range of this function using set notation. Okay. So the range of the function this should have arrowheads on it. The top of it hits 18. Okay. So the range is the set of all the y values, right? So when I'm talking about the range of the function, I talk about it if I was using interval notation. I'd say, okay, well, how low does it go? It goes to negative infinity. And then I say, okay, well, how high does it go? Well, it goes up to a maximum of 18. So if I was to write it in interval notation, that's how I write it. In set notation, I write it like this. Where are all the y values? They are all below this point. So that is the highest possible y point that I'm talking about. That means that y, all the y values are less than that value. So are less than 18, where y is an element of all reals. And the element of all reals, all that states is that it includes decimals, fractions, and everything else. Okay? You understand that one?
Yeah.
Okay. The second one says use set notation to state the range of this function. So again, I have a graph. This time my graph is of a line. So how low does it go?
-5.
Okay, so that's all right. You have to imagine that those are arrowheads on it. They don't put them on that graph. So that means that they go forever. Okay? So if that's the case, how low does it go?
Like forever.
Forever in the negative. So how do I state that mathematically? Negative infinity. And then the highest it goes is positive infinity. Okay? So in interval notation, that's how I want to write it. Negative infinity to positive infinity. In set notation, y is an element of all reals. That means it goes forever. It goes up forever, down forever. So the answer for that one is D then. Okay. Number 3, which relation has a graph that will satisfy the vertical line test? Okay. So a graph that satisfies the vertical line test. The easiest way to look at this is, one would be to graph them, but it would be very difficult to do. The easiest way to do it would be to look at y. The first thing I say is y can't be squared. So that eliminates a and c altogether. So x squared plus y squared equals 25. Anytime y is squared, won't pass the vertical line test. So that's no good. The second one is y equals 4 plus minus root x. Well, the reason I get plus minus here is because I'm taking the square root of it. So again, because it's plus minus, that graph is going to look something like this. This is not the correct graph, but it's going to look like this. So is it possible for that to pass the vertical line test? Again, the answer is no, because it's going to hit more than 1 point. Okay, so that eliminates B. C we can eliminate because the y squared again. And then D is the only correct answer. So this question is a little bit beyond what we are doing, but it's worthwhile throwing in an assignment, not on a test, but on an assignment. So the answer is this here. Now the difference between these two graphs right here is this one graphs both of these. This guy would only graph one of them. So it can pass the vertical line test. So that's how that one works. All right. You okay with that?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, determine the domain and range for each relation. Express your answers using the method identified. Okay, so it gives us the graph. It plots those points on it. -1, -2. 1, 2, 3. 4. Okay. So my coordinates are 0, -2, 1 and 0, 2 and 2, and 3 and 4 up here. Okay. So it says, all right, determine the domain and range. So the domain for this, well, the first thing I would do here is I would, because it's not continuous, all right, it's discrete. I'm looking at actual coordinates. So the first coordinate would be 0, -2. Second coordinate is 1 and 0. Third coordinate is 2 and 2. And the fourth coordinate is 3 and 4. Okay? So if I was to list the domain, what are all my x values that are used? 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay? And if I did the same for the range and listed them, -2, 0, 2, and 4. Okay, so if I asked you to list them, that's how I would list them. But it asks you to use a number line. So I draw my number line. And then I put dots where they occur on the number line. So for my domain, I would have 0, 1, 2, and 3 with dots on it. My range for this graph is, I go -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So my range for this graph is -2, 0, 2, and 4. So that's how I would put it onto a number line for explaining that graph. Okay? It asks to explain.
I struggled with this one.
Yeah, okay. Just the B one?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I get it. This is the weird part about it. Okay? And I was shown this graph a few times, but when you do y equals pi r squared, the r squared is what we call a quadratic. The pi just represents a number, 3.14. So the graph actually looks like this. There's the graph of it. Okay? It's a parabola. It's a U shape that opens up left and right. Okay, so now it says use set notation to explain the domain. X such that. Well, what do you notice about how far left it goes?
It goes on.
It goes on. And how about how far right?
Same thing.
Same thing. So when I'm writing out my x such that, then it means I have to include every possible value. So how do I write that in mathematical terms? X is an element of the reals. So there's my domain for it. Okay? And the range, how do you think I write the range here? Where do all my y values occur? What's my lowest y value? 0. And what's my highest y value?
It just goes on.
It goes on. So we'd say that goes to infinity. Okay? So from 0 to infinity, how do I write that in this notation then? Are my y values all what?
Y is equal to all reals or equal.
Okay. Now, if it equals to all reals, then that means it has to go down forever as well.
Oh.
But they're all what? Greater than this guy right here, would you not say? So I go, y is greater than or equal to 0, y is an element of the reals. Like that. Okay? All right. So that's the correct solution for that guy. Okay. Hello, Eli. Okay, Eli, can you put your computer on mute for a second? Eli, help me out here, please.
Not supposed to join.
Okay, just put it on mute. All right, hi, Emma. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I'm going through the solutions for your assignment. So Emma right now and Eli, I'm on 1C right now. Okay? So if you can put, Eli, put that on mute, please. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I need to do a list then. So a list just says I write out all of the x values for that. So I look at my x values and I see that I've got a -2, a 1, a 4, and a 10. So that's my domain. So again, I'm looking at my assignment sheet, and this is 1C on the short answers. My range is all the y values, 5, 3, 1, and -3. So that's my domain and my range. So Emma and Eli, you guys can go back after. I went through and I did all of these questions, and they're on. I'm recording it on YouTube, so if you want to see the solutions for it, I'll also post the solutions on Edmodo today. I'll go do that later this morning. Okay. So number two in the short answers is find the slope from the first point to the second point. So the first point was 2 and 0. The second point was -2 and 4. Now again, when it comes to slope, if you want to graph these and count, that's okay. I like to use my equation. So I've got x1, y1, x2, y2. Slope equals. So my y2, 4. My y1, 0. My x2, -2. My x1, 2. So that gives me 4 over -4, which would be equal to -1. All right. And again, when I write these out, I do them with intention. I write out x1, y1 beside the coordinate so that I can see that x1 is 2, y1 is 0, x2 is -2, y2 is 4. It's a foolproof way of doing it. So if you're going to use the equation, I would always suggest you do it that way. All right. So now I have -8, -5, -3, -15. So x1, y1, x2, y2, slope is equal to. Okay? So my y2, -15. Subtract -5. x2, -3. Subtract -8. So -15 plus 5 is -10. -3 plus 8 is 5. -2 is my slope. We doing okay, girls?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. 1, 1. -5, -11. Again, x1, y1. Okay. So my y2 in this case is -11. Subtract 1 over -5 minus 1. That gives me -12 over -6, which is +2. So my slope is 2 over 1. All right, just checking something out. Okay. And the final one is 10 and -20. And -30 and 50. Slope equals y2, which is 50, minus -20 over -30, subtract 10, which gives me 70 over -40, which is 7 over -4. So let's have a look at that guy for 1 second. Let's say I was starting at 0 and 0. All right. My starting coordinate is 0 and 0. Where do I go from 0 and 0? If my slope is 7 over -4, what does this tell me to do? Which way do I go from 0 and 0 to get to the next one? Any idea? What does the 7 mean on top?
Rise.
Rise. So if it's a positive 7, which way do I go? Up 7. And the -4 on the bottom is my?
Run.
Run. Which means I go -4. Which direction do I go?
And a downward slope, like a negative slope.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. So, but we've already said we're going 7 up. What does the -4 mean? Which direction do I go on the bottom?
Run.
Run. So that's left or right. So which way am I going to go?
Left.
All right. Say it with some confidence because you got it right.
Left.
Left 4. That's right. So when it comes to slope, okay, I put this on the board the other day. The top tells you if it's up or down. The bottom tells you if it's right or left. If it's positive, it goes up. If it's positive, it goes right. If it's negative, it goes down. If it's negative, it goes left. Okay? All right. And, okay. So it says use the graph in answers A to D. Okay. Identify the coordinates. So C. What is coordinate C?
-4, 5.
-4 and 5. Perfect. Good job. And what is D? 2, 5. Well done. Okay, so far so good. It's always X first, Y second, right? So it's X, Y. Awesome. Okay, so it says identify the rise from point C to D. So how high up does it go to go from point C to D?
There's no rise.
So then, yeah, so then you have to write 0. That's your rise. Okay? What is your run? How far is it from C to D?
6.
6. There you go. So your rise is 0. Your run is 6 to the right. What's my slope then? What's my rise?
0.
Over my run, which is
6.
6. So what's the slope? The slope for that graph is 0. Okay? We all right, girls?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right, so now we have to read the graph, okay? And it asks us, what is the initial height of each balloon? Okay, so the lower balloon. When I look at my graph, I'm talking about at 0 minutes. So what's the initial height of the lower balloon at 0 minutes? Where's the line touching at 0 minutes?
Oh, 10.
10. And where's the other line touching at 0 minutes?
30.
30. Good. There's your answer for A. In B, it says, how fast is each balloon rising? Okay. So I can tell how fast the balloon is rising based on its slope, because its slope, all right, is the amount of rise over run. Now, because they gave you 2 equations, the slope is always found in front of the x, or in this case, in front of the time. All right. So how fast is each rising? This one's rising 15 meters per minute. And this one was rising 10 meters per minute. And I got that from the equations. Now, I could have also counted. I could have also counted to see how fast it was going up and down. Okay? And it says determine the time when the 2 balloons are at the same height. So where do they cross at? What's the time?
70 meters.
At 70 meters, and what's the time?
4.
4 minutes. Right. There's your answer. Okay? All right. So the last one says plot the points. So we'll graph these quickly. Okay, so the first coordinate was 0 and 8, which is right here. The second coordinate was 4 and -4, which is down here. I asked you to draw a line through them. So there was your A part. Your B part was find the slope of them. So because I gave you the graph, I would use the graph to find the slope by actually calculating it by just counting. All right? My rise. So if I'm going from 0 and 8 down to here, all right? How far down do I go? Well, I counted all the way down. I go 12 down. So minus 12. And then once I get to right here, how far right, or sorry, right here, how far right do I go? I go 4 to the right. So my slope is -12 over 4. 12 down, 4 to the right, or -3. That's my slope. And then it said make a table of values. Okay. So you could, if you graphed it on there, you could just write them out. So I had 0, 8, 1, 5, 2, 2, 3, -1, 4, -4. And that's my table of values. Okay? So that's the assignment. What we're going to do is I'm going to likely start 7.1 tomorrow. I'm also going to give you an assignment tomorrow for the weekend on chapter 6. Okay? It's I think 4 pages, but there's only about 5 questions on it. And chapter 7 here carries on with what we're doing with slope and y-intercept. Emma, did you have any questions from chapter 6 that you wanted to look at today? For you this morning then, girls. Like I said, if you're done to the end of the review today, you're done for the day. And tomorrow we'll do 7.1, and I'll give you an assignment. I'll put it on Edmodo for you. Okay? All right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you girls tomorrow. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.